Hello my dudes and welcome back to Minecolonies Shogun. This series has gone on for a long old while and we are nearing the end of the colony. So with that in mind, this episode what I really want to do is plow on at full speed getting as many buildings done. We're going to see if we can complete almost all the remaining buildings, at least to level 1. So with that in mind, let's jump in. Oh man, exciting times, very exciting times. So obviously, yeah, we've had the university and this has been here for a while. We also built the library and school, and they have finished. So let's go over here and take a look. Maybe hire a What are you doing here, cow? Cows can't learn at the university. Well, maybe they can. I don't know. It's 2025. I don't want to discriminate against my bovine buddy over here, but yeah, the library is in position, and it's, let's say, honestly, it's a bit miserable. There's a bookshelf. It's got like 20 books on there. And there's a shelf, and there's a carpet. There's no seats, but I guess in a pinch you can sit on the carpet and read one of these 20 books. Oh man, amazing. Well, anyway, yeah, let's hire a librarian if we can. Looks like we can't. Okay, well, we're gonna have to hire some workers. We've also got a school somewhere. And here it is, upstairs on the other half of the university. It is the school, and likewise, this is also a miserable place. There's like, I guess, 8 pieces of carpet on the floor. And obviously no teacher or students. Okay, so it's about time we did something about that. So I'm gonna have to hire 2 new dudes. I do have a little bit of gold in my backpack, so that should be enough to get maybe 3 or 4 guys from the taverns, from you guys who have donated your names to the list. Let's go and see who we can find. I'm looking for names that haven't been in already, ideally. So over here on the walls, you've got Helga Blue, and I guess she's kind of wearing blue, so the name fits. Let's get her in. Welcome to the colony, Helga Blue, and also inside, I think it was Klaus. We had a Klaus over here. I don't think we have a Klaus yet. Here we go, yeah. Klaus Mora, welcome to the crew. Oh, Sir Bobohead, we'll get you in too. And who else is knocking around? Do I see any names? There's somebody outside. Let's go and grab them up. It's Random Watts. Well, you know, I guess that's what you could call alternating current. Bit of an electrician joke there, yeah, but Random Watts. Alternating current, sure, maybe. I'm not an electrician and I don't know anything about electronics, so it's probably incorrect, but oh, and Toodle's Spy. Oh, I don't know if I should be inviting a spy to the colony, but you know what? Golden Boots, I'm sure he's a very trustworthy dude. So now over here at the school, and we're going to get a teacher in here. Who are we going to get? Who's got the best stats for this? Whoa, the spy, Toodle Spy, 28 and 26. That's really good. Let's get you over here, and what does a teacher look like? Oh man, yeah, this guy looks like a real ancient Japanese wise man. He's going somewhere. Are you sick already? Why have you got stink lines? He must be hungry. That's why he's going to the restaurant, maybe. And over here, a chief librarian, and we're going to get, who's got good stats for this? I think it's similar stats for a teacher and a librarian, but it looks like Klaus Mora is the best we're going to do. And you look, oh, like a researcher. Okay, fair enough. So a quick scroll through our clipboard, and there's a few of these things that we can say we've already built. We do need to build a flower shop with the apiarist. That's pretty high up there. We do have a combat academy already, an enchanter's tower, a school and library, and the fisherman's hut. But we are fast filling up these ticks, and there's only a few left. So let's double check on the research, because maybe there's a little bit of research we need to do to get some of these final buildings. Now, most of these have been done, but there are a few last remaining holdouts. For example, the nether mine. We need some gilded blackstone, so we'll have to go to the nether, unless I picked some up last time I was there. I think I probably did. We'll get some glass, and that means we can get the Glassblower's hut. We even researched sieving to get the sifter's hut. But that's it as far as new buildings go. With those 2 researches, we're going to have access to every single building. Or will we? Let's have a look. No, look at this. So magic potions unlocks the alchemist. That's a building we should get. The alchemist gives you potions that help your druid guards. We've researched improved bows down combat so we can get the archery range. But yeah, we know exactly what we need now. Let's go and grab some gilded blackstone and some glass, I think it was. Now I know what you guys are thinking. We are, what, like about 25 episodes into Shogun by now, and we've made strong work. When I look at my previous series, I think the first Minecolonies series I did was something like 60 episodes. That's a lot of episodes, but we did get a lot done. So here we go, yeah, let's take a look. I think I probably did have the foresight to get some gilded blackstone, but there's only one way to find out. Blackstone. Oh yeah, there's 13. Also we want some glass, so we'll get a stack of that too. And this should be the last two things we need to get all of the buildings on the colony built. We'll do the alchemist, but that's behind the nethermine research, so it's going to be maybe next episode, maybe the one after. So here we go, it's in technology. If we go down, we'll get open the nether. That's going to get the nether mine. Now there's already a template for the nether mine inside the mine, so that's not a building we're going to need to find a space for, but we will, I do think, need to find a space for, what was the last one down here? Oh no, right, those lungs. So it's not just glass we need, we also need to get a smeltery. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my camp and I'm going to get all of the building hut blocks we need to build absolutely everything we can. And then we can head to the lower city and put all of these down. So even though we haven't researched the Glassblower's hut, we can still build the hut block and put down the building where we want it. We just can't get the builder to build it until we've done the research. So you can still plan ahead with the buildings that you want, even if you haven't done the research. And that's a good strategy. So let's get some of these buildings built. Smeltery. The stone smeltery, that's also an important one. But yeah, there's a load of these, so I'm just going to craft them up and come back to you guys in a minute. Okay, my friends, so here we are, and we've constructed almost every single one of these buildings. We've got the Dyers Hut, the stone smeltery, the Glassblower's hut, the flower shop, mystical site, smeltery, graveyard, archery, apiary, and the bakery, and I think that's kind of everything. I'm going to tick these off for now to make sure this is everything we can build. And you know what? Yeah, oh, of course, right, the crusher and the concrete mixer, those are important too. And let's see if we can find a place for all of these buildings we have in our backpack now, because this is a serious amount of buildings, and what I want to do is get every single one of these time-lapsed this episode. It's going to be a real marathon, so I hope you're with me for this. But honestly, yeah, I'm quite excited now. We're on the very edge, the very end of the series, and I do think pretty soon we're going to have the complete colony structurally built and placed down, with the only thing we need to do being upgrade the existing buildings. So where is the research for the concrete mixer's hut? It could be a level 3 research, which is pretty rare for buildings, but it's not gilded hammer. Oh, there we go, it's pave the road. We'll need a crusher at level 1, and we'll need some yellow concrete. Okay, so we've got to do the crusher first anyway. Anyway, let's start the building train rolling, and the first station is going to be, of course, the flower shop. So yeah, here we go, over here in the corner, next to our composter's hut. It's where we were going to put down the flower shop before, but we didn't have the research. We've got the research done now, so the flower shop is in place, and we can get this built. Let's get some other buildings put down. Now here we are in the lower city. This is where most of these buildings are going to go, and of course we do have this massive space up here that we have left empty up until now. We're looking to put something here that needs to be kind of near to the middle of the colony, so let's have a sleep on it and think what can go here. Now, of all the buildings we want to be close to things, I do think maybe the graveyard is the most important. The gravekeeper is going to need to go in between all the places where colonists died. However, it is going to look a bit weird not having this on the outskirts. I think the mystical site and the graveyard usually make really good partners. They always go well together. And since we have the barracks and the combat academy pretty close to the middle of the colony as well, I think maybe the archery range would look good here. But surprise, surprise, oh my god. So yeah, The Shogun style has some archery ranges, but none of them are their own unique building. That's a little bit annoying. You can either build a military castle or auxiliary castle, maybe that's a good choice, or you can build Decorations Wonders, the palace. Now I do want to build the palace at some point, but let's see what the auxiliary castle looks like. Well, heavens to Betsy, my friends, this is a really big building. Look at the size of the auxiliary castle. This has a really big footprint. There's no way we can fit it here, but I reckon we can probably fit it over there in that nice big space near the dungeon. Okay, yeah, cool. Well, let's pick another building. So do you know what? I think maybe the Smeltery or the Stone Smeltery would be a good choice here. Let's look at them both and see what they look like. So this is the Stone Smeltery, and this is actually perfectly sized to go here. But what about the Smeltery? How big is this thing? Yeah, do you know what? The actual Smeltery, the metallurgic one, is kind of the perfect size for this. When you have an area like this that you've dedicated towards a building, usually you kind of want to put the biggest building that can go there so you save space. Now, if you do have empty space, it's never a loss because you can always use it for decoration. But let's see what this thing will look like at level 5, because I think it might be quite impressive. Oh my god, yeah, this thing is very cool. Let's just make sure none of it's buried in the ground. No, that's about the level it's supposed to be. Yeah, I think this is a good spot. Level 1, this is where we're going to put the Smeltery. Snug as a bug in a rug. Okay, next building. So we'll wait for a second with the Stone Smeltery, because what I want to put down now is the mystical site. So this edge of the colony is really far away from absolutely everything. So what you really want to put on the edge of the colony is the mystical site. Colonists don't ever really need to come to the mystical site. The only reason you have it is to raise the happiness of your dudes. So it can be on the edge of the colony and you don't really pay a price. We'll go to Mystic, it's the mystical site, and there's a couple here. There's Mount Koya, and there's the doggo onsen, the doggo onsen. So unsurprisingly, Mount Koyo is really big. Oh yeah, so already the doggo onsen, it's amazing, it's doggo themed, so I can't wait to see what this thing looks like at level 5, but it also fits quite snugly here at the back of the colony. We'll move that back border until it goes into the wall, come back a little bit, and yep, move it this way a bit. I think this will look good. Okay, let's take a look at this thing at level 5. Wow, oh my god, yeah, this thing looks like a real beast at level 5. I can't really see if there's any dogs as decorations on this thing, but this is a really good spot for it. Level 1, let's pull the trigger. There's lots of different buildings inside the doggo onsen as well, but we're going to have to discover what those are specifically as it upgrades. But let's pull the trigger on that and get some sleep. Now, as we mentioned before, the graveyard usually works well near the mystical site, so we're going to park this in the corner over here. Let's take a look at what this looks like. It is still in Mystic as well, so you know what, keep the categories together, why don't you? Okay, yeah, so the graveyard is a big building, and it's a really long building. This is a long boy. But it also is a bit weird. It staggers down into the terrain. So you kind of have to build this on a hillside, which is trouble for us because we don't really have a hill. I guess what we could do is kind of put it in the corner and modify the landscape to work with it. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, do you know what? I think this is going to work quite well tucked away in the corner over here. We can, you know, maneuver the landscape around a bit, make it look a bit more natural. The walls do give us that natural edge to hide a lot of this dirt. But what does this thing look like at level 5? Oh my god, yes, look at this thing, Spumantii. You have outdone yourself. What a thing of beauty. Look at these trees. Those hanging glowberries, azalea leaves. Oh, this is a beautiful place to lay your ancestors to rest. And this is the perfect spot for it. So we'll press yes on this. Now the Orc's Castle is a pretty difficult building to place, but there is just about enough room here to the left of the onsen. And again, let's see what it looks like at level 5. Oh wow, okay, that was a quick preview, and it looks pretty cool here. I think maybe lower it down by 1, so you can get into it decently, but yeah, I think this is a good spot. Okay, so we're fast running out of space over here at the back in the top of the lower city, and the remaining buildings to go are the Crusher, the Dyers Hut, the Stone Smeltery, and the Glassblower's hut, and the bakery. We do still have the area down the front, in front of our plantation. So let's go down there and see what works in the bottom of the lower city. Oh man, yeah, look at all this flat space. There's so much room to work with down here. I think we're going to get a lot of buildings slotted in down here. So we want to keep, I think, let's start from the top and see what the crusher looks like. Oh man, yeah, look at this thing. This is nice and discreet. I wonder if this would fit to the left of the builder's hut. We don't want to cram things in too much though, so I think maybe giving some space to buildings is a healthy thing. What about at level 5 though? What does this bad boy look like at level 5? Okay, so at level 5, the crushing wheel is almost completely hidden away out the back here. Okay, pretty cool, and I think this could be a good spot for this. We'll move it away so the guards have access to the guard tower over there, but I think this is a good spot for the crusher. We're also going to raise it up because we have the avenue there, and I think this entire floor down here is going to be 1 block higher than this floor at the moment is. So level 1, there we go, in position. Next up, we're going to do, I guess, the stone smelter. That's the natural companion to the crusher, I guess. It's in masonry, and we already know this is quite a small building. Yeah, this is very small, and in fact, I do think this is the perfect size to go next to the builder's hut over at the back there. So we'll swivel it around and put it in position. Oh no, do you know what? Actually, it's way too tight to squeeze here. Look at this. It's right up against that building, which looks ugly, and it kind of interferes with the walls on the plantation. So we'll move this over here instead. Yeah, do you know what? Wow, at level 5, this thing looks pretty cool, and over here, it does kind of fit perfectly. There's room for a road to go around to the right. Yeah, this will look pretty good, so we'll press yes. So there's only really room for 1 more building between these two, and that's a pretty tight squeeze. So let's take a look at the remaining buildings. What about the Dyers Hut? Oh my god, no, look at the footprint on the Dyers Hut. Why am I surprised every time I put a building down and I think to myself, you know what, this will be a pretty small building? No, the Dyers Hut is the size of a football pitch, obviously. I mean, how else are you going to make dyes without enough room to run a quarterback all the way along the 9,000 yard line or whatever it is? I don't know much about American football, as you've probably gathered. But yeah, it's not going to fit there. Okay, let's try something else. The concrete mixer is a little bit smaller, but it still won't fit right next to things there. It might, however, fit over here. So let's see if we can maneuver this near to this big empty space we have next to the plantation fields. Now it's another hillside build. As you can see over here, the back of the building kind of goes up with dirt, so you want to put this on the edge of a field. Now we can't really do that, but we can still make it work. We can use some terraces and things to just raise the land a bit. There is, I think, a water wheel out the back, so we can use the water from above to kind of come down here in a nice little stream. I think actually, yeah, this is the perfect location for this. But we can't place it down yet, of course, because we don't have the research, so we'll remember this is the location for the concrete mixer's hut. So that means the Glassblower and the Dyers Hut are the last buildings we need to put down, and there should be space up top for those. Yeah, there's a lot of room up here. We've only got the back of the colony really kind of built, so let's place these buildings down. The Glassblower's hut, number 1. Wait a minute, I can't find the Glassblower. It should be in luxury, but it's not. Let's right-click on the building and see if this is included in a different building template already. Wait a minute, what's this? Shogun Estates? The Glassblower lives in a glass estate? What is an estate? I haven't even noticed these, so it's in, I guess, infrastructure? No. Fundamentals, estates, residences? Okay, I'll go and grab a residence and let's take a look. So yeah, let's take a look at these estates. It was in fundamentals, it's in estates, residence. Oh, right. So there is a bakery estate, there's a dyer estate, and there's a glass estate. Okay. How big are these? Because we can get 3 of these to get the 3 remaining buildings we have, and they might line up quite well opposite the machia we have right here. You know what? It's not a colossal building. Oh no, it goes back quite far, doesn't it? Oh my god, that's real far. Yeah, so this is the Glassblower estate, and it's going to be quite a squeeze fitting this in, but I reckon we can fit 2 here. So we'll give that a go. Yeah, that'll fit quite nicely. If that's the glass estate, and we'll get this positioned. Right about there does look good to me. And I think these estates also come with residences, which is kind of cool. So can we slot another estate right next to this one? But I think we've messed around with placing down buildings for long enough. So I'm going to place down these remaining estates and let's get into the time lapse. So building number 1 is the Crusher's Hut. It kind of looks like a big steam engine, if a steam engine was made out of wood. It's nice, it's small, it's discreet, it's a hut to do all your crushing in, and at level 1, as you can see, it's a pretty simple build. There was, again, another problem with this build though. Guess what? Yeah, the builder did get stuck. This is a recurring theme in the Shogun pack, and there's not really much you can do about it, but I do think I know why. So you can see here at the bottom, there is a flat panel that our builder is trying to jump up to get to the next level. But it doesn't work because the builder thinks that's a whole block. Anyway, once we'd fixed that problem, the Crusher's Hut was built, and we can move on to the next building. And yeah, you're probably wondering what this building is. This is squeezed in between the stone smelter and the Crusher's Hut. It's one of the estates. The estates are actually a really cool idea. It melds the idea of having a residence, like a house, and putting a business inside it, and it kind of makes sense for feudal Japan, because I imagine a lot of these businesses were operated outside of somebody's house. Now this one, I believe, is the bakery. And the bakery block is hidden away in the back there, so we will have to upgrade that once the building is done. But it's finished, and let's move on to the next one. Now yeah, in the corner here we have the stone smelter, the cornerstone of any colony. This is where you make fuel, but you can also smelt things like stone into stone brick, clay into bricks, and a few other things. But yeah, it's a pretty simple build, level 1, and there it is, completely finished. Next up, we're coming back up here to the building near to our gate, and this is a very quick build indeed. It's just the smeltery. And this building's basic entire reason for existence is to smelt ore, and it does that pretty well. Just the one up here near to the gate will do fine, and yeah, the building is complete. Very quick, very efficient. Thanks a lot, Dunmore. Now we're moving up to the second tier of the lower city, and again, these are where we put down the 2 estates. I can't remember which is which, but they're both side by side here, one being the Glassblower, I believe, and one being the Dyers Hut. This made a lot more sense because the standalone Dyers Hut was way too big. The estate is actually a smaller build and comes with the added bonus of featuring a residence as well, so you know it's like a double whammy and a bit of a no-brainer. Once again though, just like the bakery estate, the Dyers Hut is at the back and will need to be upgraded and built into a level 1 hut. Now as you can see, yeah, the rain did fall as we were doing this build. Luckily enough though, our builder did work through the rain, and I can't remember turning that on in the config, so maybe it's a technology research or there's something else going on there. Either way, the building is complete, but we'll sleep through the rain before we crack on to the next estate. And again, yeah, this one at the back, I believe this is the Glassblower. Now we will have to build the Glassblower's hut, but also we've got to do the technology research to get the Glassblower unlocked. And that also means getting our Smeltery up to level 3, the building that's near to our gate. Usually with the builds, I like to at this point go all the way up to level 3 to begin with, but because we're doing so many builds this episode, there's no way I could build them all up to level 2 and 3 in this episode as well. So we're going to be sticking to level 1 builds for this video. But anyway, there it is, complete and looking pretty good. Now we come over to the corner of the colony over here near to our Machia estates. Now we placed this building a little bit too close to the wall, so there was a bit of chiseling and pickaxe work to be done by our builder, but it didn't take them too long. This is a tricky building to place because yeah, it's designed to be on a hillside, and that can make things tricky, especially when you have an area like we do, or some of you guys I know might like to build your colonies on completely flat areas of land. That's also going to make it really tricky to place this graveyard, but I do like the effect. Just like the Byzantine Hospital, I think hillside buildings add a little bit of a challenge for you as a builder. But if you can pull them off, they do also look like really cool buildings. This building especially looks very impressive at level 5, so I can't wait to get there, but for now, we'll settle with leaving it at level 1 and move on to the next building. And that building is, of course, the auxiliary castle. Now, this is a bit of a weird one, and after the builder had dug out the area to prepare this castle, I realized we'd left like a bit of a big gap. Even though the entrance is ground level, he's dug out a whole massive, I guess like a moat, around the edge of the castle. So I think what we might try and do is incorporate that into the design in some way. A lot of castles have moats, so why not put a moat on this auxiliary castle? I think it might look really cool. Now also there were two big strips of grass, and I wasn't quite sure why the builder didn't dig these out while he was preparing the area, but then as the building progressed, it got clear why he didn't do that. Those two areas are for the combat academies, and the builder will leave those zones alone because basically when you come back around to build the combat academies inside the castle, the builder is going to take care of that area and dig out the grass blocks when that happens. And for now he's going to leave them be. Again, this is probably the biggest building this episode we've done so far, and it took the builder a long time to manage this. And that's kind of crazy because this castle isn't even really a full building yet. And you'll see what I mean as the build progresses. He kind of does the roof and the first floor. But once the builder is finished there, there's actually not much more else he's going to do. I think we're really going to have to get this castle up to level 2, 3, 4, and 5 to see it become its full and glorious self. But until then, yeah, the castle is just basically the bottom floor. And there wasn't an archery range hut block required for this build, so I don't even think this has an archery range yet. Either way though, the build is finished now, looking pretty good, and it's time to move on to the biggest build this episode, the doggo onsen. Now you guys are probably wondering, hang on a sec, where did the top of that dungeon go? Over on the right, that was there before. Well, I had to swivel the building around. The entrance was facing the wrong way. We needed to swivel it around so the entrance was facing somewhere we could get a road to, and doing that meant that we couldn't have both the doggo onsen and the top of that dungeon block. But that's okay because it didn't look very feudal Japanese anyway, so it's a good thing to get rid of it. We can put maybe a big old sakura blossom there instead. That would look much more Japanese, you know? But anyway, yeah, this was a colossal build. What was weird about this build is that the builder didn't really use the proper way to get up here to build this. Instead, he navigated his way through the walls, which was a bit weird, but sometimes the builders do that. They get stuck, they get lost. As long as they get there, I'm happy. Now at level 1, the doggo onsen looks absolutely nothing like it's supposed to look at level 5. So there's a lot of upgrades to come with this building, and once we get there, it's going to be a really impressive and stunning build. But even then, that's not to say at level 1 it doesn't look like a pretty cool building, and compared to most of the level 1 builds from the Shogun style, it is actually a very cool level 1 build. But also, yeah, a very time-consuming one to build. However, once the builder was finished building this massive and impressive roof, we were left with what is a very good-looking doggo onsen at level 1. And this is a very cool building. Now, it's a mystical site, but unlike Mount Koyo, it also features some very cool other hut blocks. But now the time lapse is over, let's get in game and explore ourselves in first person to find out exactly what some of these buildings are hiding. Aw man, what a crazy long episode. It took me forever to do those time lapses, but that's a whole bunch of buildings in place. Now obviously that's made for us a bunch of new jobs, And so that's why Mr. Mardo Jotunson over here, well, I reckon you are going to be one of the dudes we recruit to fill in one of those jobs. We're going to get a bunch of people from the tavern as well. There's an angry spy here. I hope he's not too angry. Yeah, get you in a job. There's also Ambriel Kato. Man, Ambriel just gets everywhere. There's Gohaku. Armbrust. Yeah, there we go. We'll get you in as well. That'll be a good... Wait, yeah, no one's run away with the gold yet. A good candidate for one of those jobs. So who else is jumping around? Who's this guy? Oh, Jessim Bits. Love me a bit of Jessim Bits. And over here, who are you? Who are you, actually? It's Molly Moo Dragon, of course. The Dragon Reborn? Well, I hope not. Okay, well, we've got a bunch of dudes now, and we can probably start ticking off all of those buildings from our clipboard. So let's head around to the buildings in chronological order, fill up the jobs, and tick off those boxes. Oh man, this is really exciting though. Look at this. We've got so many buildings built. Now these are only level 1 and they need a lot of decoration and filling in of the landscape around the buildings to get them looking good, but we can at least get people into their jobs. Number 1, the Smeltery. This is the building that smelts, well, ore really, but also it's a great way for you to make fuel, or is that in the stone smelter? I think that's a stone smelter. But charcoal is the fuel of the colony, so we'll turn that on over here. Smeltable ore, yep, all of it. And we're also going to go over here and, of course, hire a worker. So who's got good stats for this? Oh man, look at Ambriel Kato. Yeah, do you know what? Ambriel Kato with 30 and 26, absolutely, you're the one. Get you over here. Looking like a real smelter. Okay, who's next? Yeah, do you know what? I think the next thing on the list is the Crusher. This is the crushing wheel, I think. Is this the Crusher? Yeah, there it is. There's not much to do in terms of settings over here. It's in Crusher mode clay, apparently. We want to turn it... Ooh. Probably sand is useful. Gravel is useful. I think sand is the most useful, so we'll turn this to make gravel into sand. But we're going to need gravel to start with. So yeah, we'll start with cobblestone into gravel, I reckon. And manage workers. Who's got good crushing stats? Could be Helga Blue. Yeah, do you know what it is? 20 and 12. Helga Blue. Welcome to the colony as a crusher. And again, yeah, looking like most other dudes. But you got a blue armband, which does suit your name. Next up, this is one of the estates, and we can't really hire anybody here because I haven't yet built the bakery. This is a separate build that has to happen after you've built the main estate. But it's not exactly hard to make, so we can get Diva on that and come back later. Next up over here, what was this building? This was something. Ah, the stone smelter, of course. So the stone smelter is pretty simple, no settings really. But as you can see, these are the things the guy can make. Stone to stone, cobblestone to stone brick, clay to terracotta, and clay to bricks. Pretty good. So who is good for this? Oh my god, these stats are just amazing. I think Jessim Bits is looking like a really strong stone smelter, so we'll get you in. The big recipe you want to teach here will set charcoal as the thing they use as fuel, but I think smelting recipes, we also want to give them the charcoal recipe. Obviously charcoal can be made from a whole bunch of woods, so we'll start from the top and go with oak into charcoal. But we'll also do spruce and basically, yeah, all of the other logs that we have. We've also got a massive backlog of acacia, so that'll do as well, and I think we'll leave it at that. What does the stone smelter look like? Well, let's find out. Oh, yeah, pretty standard. Okay, who's next? Now this area up here is going to need a lot of attention. I'm thinking of raising like a retaining wall up here to the level of the estates. But also, yeah, there's loads of terraforming required over here, as I think I probably mentioned in the time lapse. And also, yeah, we've got to build these buildings. These are the estates, right? So this is the Dyers Hut, and it's still level 0. Most of these are pretty simple to make because the hard part about building this building is building the whole estate itself. But the Glassblower is over here, I believe, somewhere. Where's the Glassblower's hut? Is that it over here? Now, even though this is down, because we haven't done the research, I don't think we can build the building yet. So we'll come back later to do that. Now, the auxiliary castle. Yeah, again. So this is kind of sunken into the land because this is the way you get in. And that makes me think that the auxiliary castle is part of a bigger multi-block build. When you go and take a look over here at military, I think, and castle, yeah, there's kind of like the barracks, the castle, the orcs castle, and the longhouse. Oh, I'm going to regret pressing that. But yeah, it looks like all of these kind of plumb in together and are part of one bigger build. So it looks a bit janky here on its own, but you know what? We'll find a way to make it work. Now, yeah, I did wonder why this grass block was floating in the air, but it's because these areas are reserved for 2 combat academies. That's going to bring our combat academy number up to 3, which means we're going to get loads of dudes trained. But obviously, yeah, we'll get the builder on this once they finish the other builds, and those will look great. Now we're going to go to the graveyard next. This is built, and we're going to need a gravekeeper or an undertaker. What are they called? Graveyard boss? Grave dude? Yeah, we'll need a grave dude. So here it is, the grave coffin thing. Bit ominous. Gather targets we don't need to bother with, but manage workers, who is a good grave digger. Ooh, so yeah, I think it's going to be Gohaku Armbrust. So we'll get you in. What does the gravekeeper look like? The undertaker. Well, that's a new look. Hanging mustaches. Very nefarious. Looks a bit like Ming the Merciless. And of course, the pièce de résistance, the doggo onsen. This is huge, and I love what they've done here as well with the steam vents, just like Dainestra did with our onsen down in the colony. A lot of buildings are plonked here. It's a mystical site that doesn't need anybody working it. It just kind of hangs out and is a mystical site. But there's also some other buildings placed around here. At level 1, I'm not sure if that's anything. Oh no, look, over here we've got the Alchemist's Tower. We haven't done the research, so we can't build that yet, but it's good to know there's an alchemist over here at the onsen. And over here upstairs, what's hiding in this building? What's this? Oh, a hospital. Really good. So our other hospital is right the way across the other end of the map. That is a nightmare for anybody that lives down here, but having a hospital on this edge of the map as well is going to be really useful. It's level 0, so we can't hire a doctor yet, but if we get Dunmore in here, we'll get that under wraps pretty soon. Oh man, yeah, that's it. So we've got our workers all hired, the buildings are underway. What's this over here? Ooh, cheeky little courier's hut. We'll get you as well. But as the sun sets and the stars are out in the sky, let's go back to Kaito and end the episode with one of those great haikus he's so fond of writing. Kaito, my old friend, a big old episode today. We have built so many buildings, but there's still a lot to do. We've got to get all of these buildings up to level 4, and then fingers crossed level 5. We've also got to do a lot of decoration and build some roads around the colony so people can get around, because at the moment everything looks, in the lower city at least, very messy. Have you got a haiku that perhaps could help us celebrate finishing up the lower city?
Yes, the city is getting close to being finished. Very exciting. Cranes stretch to the sky. Streets weave stories, brick by brick. Future finds its home.
Well, that's a great haiku, I think. Yeah, sure, that was a great haiku. Anyway, a massive thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Slightly sorry that this episode was a little bit late. I had a bit of a headache. And yeah, it took a long time getting all of these buildings built. But we're making really good progress in the colony now. And I think it's only going to be a few more episodes until this whole thing is finished. But until next time, my dudes, a massive thank you for watching, and take care.